What is going on, guys? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to talk about Matt D'Avella as he tried intermittent fasting for 30 days and gave his point of view on how he felt throughout the process. I'm going to break it down in this video. Stay tuned. D'Avella is a popular YouTuber, and I've come to know him as someone who talks about minimalism. That's one of his thing, minimalism and editing, because he also does documentaries and things to that nature. But one series that he has on his channel, he tries things for 30 days. For example, he tried not eating sugar for 30 days, or he tried taking cold showers for 30 days, just to see what it would do to him in 30 days. Now, one thing that I would definitely recommend he do when he's doing these kind of things is, I know it probably may be asking too much of someone who's just trying something for 30 days to see how they feel about it. I would definitely recommend that if it's something, for example, that he wants to test in terms of health or in terms of how his body's reacting, to actually get a physical exam with blood work before he starts the 30-day process, and then get a physical exam with blood work after the 30-day process, literally right after, before he goes back to normalcy or whatever he's gonna do that's not the protocol or not that 30-day thing challenge, and see if there's a health shift, if there's a positive or negative health shift. I think that he definitely should do that, and I say this because this particular video was screaming for him to do something to that effect. And I'm not gonna ruin the whole video, because of course it's his video and he worked hard on it, so you should watch it. But right off the bat is not a video where he's praising intermittent fasting at all, and which is 100% absolutely fine, because not everything is going to be for everyone. But I'm gonna touch on some things that he mentioned in his video. Now, I took a few notes. So a few things that caught my attention is that he said of the 30 days, 6 out of those 30 days, he did not stay within his eating window. And he said simply because he did not care. So he tried intermittent fasting, but it didn't seem like he was interested in intermittent fasting. It seemed like it was just one of the other things that he can try so that he can continue his 30-day challenge series. And another thing that he mentioned is that he accidentally lost 4 pounds. Now, anybody out there might be thinking to themselves, wait, how do you accidentally lose 4 pounds if you're doing intermittent fasting? Isn't that what you want to do? And that is not always the case. Some people want to do intermittent fasting for the health reasons, but not for the weight loss purposes. And because you're creating invisible walls of eating, and you kind of stop eating and you're not grazing, you can lose weight. Now, studies have shown that intermittent fasting helps preserve muscle, things with the ketone bodies and just the calorie partitioning and how it secretes calories and how it focuses aggressively on body fat. It can protect muscle, so it's possible that the 4 pounds he lost could have been body fat. It's also possible that it could have been water weight or glycogen loss, because you are depleting glycogen during when you're doing the fastest state. As you get closer to that post-absorptive range, you are depleting glycogen. So it could be so many other factors, and not necessarily muscle, which is what I think he thinks he was losing. I don't know how much body fat percentage he has on his body. I can't really tell. I haven't seen him without a shirt, and even if I did, you would still need to utilize fat calipers to get a little bit more accurate, and even then it's not 100% accurate, so I don't know how much body fat he has on him exactly. But because he didn't mention any measurements or anything like that, he just said that he lost 4 pounds by accident, and he wasn't happy about it because he was not trying to lose weight, and he's considered himself someone who has struggled to maintain his weight. So I feel that that could be a little off-putting, as a lot of people who watch that may automatically assume that he lost 4 pounds that he didn't want to lose, thus he may have lost muscle, but that isn't necessarily the case. And then that was peculiar to me when he mentioned that he didn't want to lose weight, because then I started thinking, then what's the premise? What's the actual purpose of trying it? Just for the sake of trying it? You just want to try it to see if you feel better? And that's where I feel that he should have interjected some type of blood analysis or physical kind of a way to see what the differences are, if there is any difference at all to his blood work, to his health. Because he didn't do that, it just gives me some pause, because it almost seemed like the 30-day challenge was kind of for nothing. He didn't feel good doing the intermittent fasting protocol. He didn't feel energy going to the gym. One thing that is a good case study, and something that I'm always talking about when doing intermittent fasting, is you have to mold and bend the eating window to your lifestyle. And you truly don't know how disruptive it can be until you actually just pick a eating window from 2:30 to 6:30 and then go for that. Once you realize, wait, I can't do 2:30 to 6:30 because I have baseball practice at 4, or I can't do it because I work out so late, and I can't do it because I have to do this, I have to do that, my job and my this and my that. Once you start to notice how it's getting in the way of your lifestyle and not making it as seamless as possible, once you notice those elements, then you can start to mold it. You start to push it. Okay, well, since I work out later, I want to eat later. Okay, since I work out earlier, I want to eat earlier. Okay, because my job lets me go on break at this time, I want it to be right before that. You start to kind of mold it, and then you place it in a perfect place within your lifestyle. And that takes some time sometimes to build that out. And the way he was talking, it seemed like he placed it in a very uncomfortable place. He was within the moments of trying to transition it, to move it, to push and pull it, but he never got it to a comfortable place. He never got it into a nice little puzzle piece slot where he can actually do the intermittent fasting protocol and feel comfortable every day doing it. But he also said that he didn't feel energy in the gym. So that's another aspect that if you don't give yourself enough time, you're not going to actually understand it. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be fasted when you go to the gym. You don't have to be. Many people are fat adapted, can use body fat as energy, can go to the gym and be fine in a fasted state. Others cannot. Others are very used to a certain energy source. If you're used to using glucose for energy, that can be a little bit disruptive for you when you're trying to go to the gym. I don't believe he got to a point where he was fat adapted. And the fact that he broke his routine 6 times out of those 30 days, out of that month, that could have been 6 times every weekend or every other weekend. So was he giving himself enough of a rhythm, enough of a continuous rhythm to get his body into the rhythm of the protocol? It's hard to say. He didn't specify when exactly he was breaking it. I tend to theorize that people try to break at the weekends because it's easier to break, considering that people are going out. Even if you don't have a traditional job, a traditional 9 to 5, a lot of other people that you know do have traditional 9 to 5 jobs, so they tend to go out in the weekend and want you to come out with them on the weekend. People tend to fall off during the weekend range because of those kinds of things. And if someone does have a job, all the more reason for them to feel a little bit more free and want to just not do the protocols during the weekend. When you're just starting out and you haven't done intermittent fasting, consecutive days of breaking the routine, it's going to be difficult for you to ever get used to it. Now, why was he always feeling hungry and wanting to break his fast earlier? He was breaking his fast earlier during his 30-day challenge, and this is because the body is going to be resistant to it. It's not going to be resistant to it because, oh my God, this is unhealthy and intuitively I don't want it. It's resistant to it because your body always wants to ensure that you are consuming energy at all times, even against its own health and benefit. That is why people are obese. That is why there is a large amount of people who are obese in the United States, because whatever rhythm you get yourself into, you can get into a rut and you can be in a rhythm where you're constantly eating too much, and then it puts you at a bad position to get type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, things like that you're trying to avoid. So he was allowing his urges to eat, his urge for appetite, to kind of nudge him towards going against the protocol or to break the protocol or not follow it through. And because he wasn't so gung-ho to begin with, and he wasn't really trying to lose weight, it made it very difficult for him psychologically to even stick to this. And this is the little thing that gives me pause on this video, is that there are other elements that come from health when it comes to intermittent fasting. And we've seen studies that show that even if the participants, the control group and the intermittent fasting group, eat at a caloric maintenance level, health markers still increase for the intermittent fasting group over the control group, because the protocol of intermittent fasting itself actually helps increase bio health markers that are positive. So if you're not testing yourself within a physical exam and then testing yourself again with another physical exam to see the difference of where you were to where you ended up, then what are you really judging? You're only judging those moments where you feel tired at the gym, you don't feel energetic. But if you're not understanding why you don't feel energetic, then that can be a turnoff to you. It's the same thing as going to the gym to lift weights for the first time. If you're lifting weights that are really uncomfortable for you, but those are the weights that you need to lift because that's what's going to create hypertrophy. That's what's going to create muscle growth. And muscle growth is very healthy as it's very metabolically active in your body. So if you go to the gym and just because of the feeling of how tired you are and how sore you are and how much it bothered you, you just decide, well, I'm never going to the gym again because I went there and it didn't help me. But if over time, if you allowed yourself to build muscle, allowed the hypertrophy to happen, and even struggling in the gym because it's not as comfortable as you would think it would be or as you would want it to be, doesn't mean that it is bad for you. Same thing for him feeling tired, same thing for him feeling hungry. It doesn't necessarily mean that he is in a place where his body is telling him what you're doing is wrong. He's just in a place where his body's telling him, I don't want you to do this. And he hasn't created that biological rhythm against the rhythm that he's already used to. Because as you know, ghrelin is released when your body wants you to eat. Not necessarily when you're hungry, but when your body wants you to eat. With intermittent fasting, you start to regulate your ghrelin levels, and that starts to reduce, and leptin levels start to increase, which is what tells you that you're full. But that is once you get into that rhythm, and having days where you're breaking it multiple days in a row or what have you in such a short time frame, that's going to affect you. So the reason I made this video is so that you guys understand that yes, anecdotal evidence is that. It is anecdotal evidence, but Matt does have a good point. No matter how many studies are out there, you still have to try something for yourself, because even within the study itself, there's always a non-responder group. So if 10 people try something and 8 people succeeded in whatever that thing is, they would say that this is a significant study that shows that there is a significant advantage for A versus B. However, of 10 people, 8 succeeded. What happened to those 2 people? They did not respond positively to that protocol. So you always have to see if you are part of that responder group. Yes, the more people who respond positively to something, the bigger the sample size, the more studies that there are, the meta-analysis of overview of everything, and the more it keeps showing one thing over the other, the more confident we can predict that this would happen versus that if you tried it. But it still doesn't guarantee that this would happen versus that. So you should always try something for yourself. Yes, in that point, I do agree with Matt. But what I don't agree with him is on what his end goal was. What was his premise? If it wasn't for weight loss, which is very easily viewed and controlled when even without a doctor, then what if it's only that and health that you do intermittent fasting for? And if you're not testing for the health, then you're just going by these biological responses that don't inherently tell you if one thing is bad or if one thing is good. It just tells you to stick to the rhythm that it's used to. So I just wanted to make that video just in case anyone has seen that video. If you're here for the first time, or if you're one of my viewers and you were just wondering like, hey, wait, what does Edward V think about it? Is this a legitimate thing that I should care about? Yeah, you should definitely care about it. Anecdotal evidence matters. There's still a merit to anecdotal evidence. Is it as strong as scientific evidence? No, but there is a merit to it. The psychological aspects of someone going through a process, that is a merit of anecdotal evidence. But take that video with a grain of salt, because it kind of was on a path to nowhere to begin with, because he didn't have measurements or a control put in place to see if there was any benefits that he was getting from the intermittent fasting protocol. So those are my 2 cents on the matter, and hopefully this video has helped you guys understand that video a little bit better, or like more of a deeper dive to that video, or certain aspects of the video that I needed to touch on, so that you could understand what was going on and not take too much out of it, because it doesn't mean that it is negative or positive. It just means that there are certain elements that aren't being fleshed out in that video that could have been fleshed out if he decided to do it in a different way. And of course, as always, guys, I want to thank my patrons from my Patreon, and I'm gonna go ahead and put their names right up here. And of course, as always, guys, I'll see you on Sunday for another FAQ. Peace.